So, hey everyone, today is Saturday, June 18, 2022, The Hindu, Delhi edition. So, first, as usual, we'll be identifying the most important news followed by a detailed analysis of the same. So, stay tuned with us. And before going further, let's do the prelims question for today. So, your question is, let me find a space first. Yes, this would be enough. Question is, where is Kra Canal located? Okay, your option is in your East Asian, or better let me say in Kamchatka Peninsula near South China Sea, eastern border with China in Indonesia, in Korea. Okay, so you have to answer this question, where is Kra Canal located? Fine. So I'll tell you the answer tomorrow and then I'll give you the new question tomorrow. Okay, so you comment it, okay, and the first right answer will be pinned. Fine. So with this I move forward. Okay, so first let's identify the most important news. Anger rages against Agnipath in many states. Okay, so just know this, that this has been the case. No need to read this because there has been anger. We'll see how the court responds to it. Okay, and Congress's immediate rollback as usual. Plea for IP rights. Okay, this is very important. Intellectual property rights. Waiver over COVID-19 jab hit over. I think it is related to WTO because meeting was scheduled, right? So here one important news is there. Okay, let's see. Darbhanga blast not requires I to hold. Okay, was virtual summit breaks virtual summit. Modi will attend. Once again, China falls bid to designate LET deputy chief a terrorist. Okay, off to school through swirling waters. UK clears Assange extradition. Okay, we'll give it a very brief read. This is a case study. Just know this point. If you want to write, you can write this point. Okay, in your notes. Okay, fine. Now let's see on this page. Nothing here. Nothing here. Nothing here. Nothing here. Okay. Nothing here. Agnipath, a fire that could seize India. Okay, we'll give it a read today. Let's see what are the opposing view to this scheme, and 1 or 2 days after this, I think the positive views will come and we'll get a clear picture of this scheme. Okay, playing up with fire, hold back the Agnipath given the failure to push it as anything but a cost-cutting measure. A man's parliament, it is very important. Okay, the 2 articles we have to do today. Search of livelihoods of life on. Okay, David. Park may get off FATF list once after on-site check. Okay, we'll give it a very star. We'll actually see this thing, India's stance. Okay. Sonia being treated for okay, fine. PC wants people to run from one seat. That's a good thing. 54% of income of 8 parties went to BJP. Okay, ADR report says we'll have to see this. Association for Democratic Reforms report has said this. Joint border activity. Okay. We have to see this. Presidential election is an ideological battle. Don't worry, nobody will make you the president. Okay, you are not the presidential candidate. Okay, 14-member panel to oversee presidential poll. Okay. Okay, so let's see what the chief has to say, because chief does not speak in political matter in general. So we have to see why he has given some statement. We have to understand it. Okay. Okay, Congress warns of the scheme meeting phase. These warnings and all those things, this is just inciting the youth. They should go and study. No studying youth should be on road right now, because the situation is there is joblessness in the country. You have to study hard to get a job. Okay. Okay, Covaxin source. What is Covaxin is manufactured by Bharat Biotech, okay, and robust safety in 2 to 18-year groups, okay. Flood landscape, okay, we have to do this. Extended beyond to block city level PM, oh, not required. What is ADP aspirational districts program, okay, should be extended to block and city level also, okay. So from district to block and to city, so more decentralized, okay. We'll give it a read. Maternal nutrition scheme in Gujarat, okay, we have to see, okay. Biden host climate summit overshadowed by fuel cost, okay. Okay, school should, okay, not required. China gets started, not required. RBI is not behind the curve, that's okay, we have to see this because Shashikant Das, our RBI governor, has said this, okay. Okay, government keen to keep capex growth supportive. Chief economic advisor, we have to see this. Big tech's financial services play may add systemic risk, okay. Pick up in use of captivity, a sign of growth, okay, we'll see this also, not required. SBI has said this, okay. This is important. RBI unveils document focusing e-payments, EV to match petrol vehicle price in a year. Very good, very good. Proceeding on next season of sugar exports to check prices, okay. And on the sports page, okay, we generally don't have much important news with respect to our examination, fine. So with this we have identified the most important news. Now let us see and understand these news. So anger rages again, Agnipath instead, okay, you just know this, that this is happening, we'll be doing this. Plea for IP waiver for COVID-19 jabs hit a wall, okay. So what had happened, let me give you a brief picture about it, that India plus like-minded country, okay, proposed that intellectual property on vaccines plus related medical equipment should not be there, okay. So no IPs on that, fine. So what does WTO did? WTO proposed a mid ground. Why mid ground? Because one who have developed these IPs and all these things, right, were not in the favor of granting exception, right. So WTO proposed a mid ground, and what was the mid ground? That vaccines IP free but related medical instruments not free, not IP free. So this was the thing, right, and this was to be discussed. Now let's see what had happened. At a close protracted discussion at Geneva on Friday, India failed to convince the World Trade Organization member to waive international property right governing the manufacturing and export of COVID-19 vaccine, diagnosis and therapeutics, okay. So you understand. So what are the related medical equipments? This diagnostic and therapeutics instruments, right. Doing so would have eased the production and export from India to countries that lacked such capacity. So what if India would have convinced them, then what would have happened? This would have eased the production and export of India to countries that lacked such capacity. The final text of the agreement only eases access to marketing and export of COVID-19 vaccines, okay. Only eases access to marketing, making and export of COVID-19 vaccines. As I said, member country would within 6 months decide if similar concessions can be extended to diagnostics and therapeutics. The inability to agree to a real pandemic intellectual property waiver at WTO is devastating global failure for people of its world over, said Christos, whoever it is, International President of Medicines Sans Frontiers, though Medicines Without Frontiers, right. We are disappointed with the inadequate outcome on waiving intellectual property for COVID-19 medicine tools that resulted from more than 20 months of deliberation, the MSF, okay, Medicine Sans Frontiers said. You understand this? So this is very important. This is how the world behaves. Okay, let's see the next news. We all know that China is to host the next BRICS summit, and who was the previous? India was previous. India was last year the host, and this year it is China, okay. Putin will also join on 23rd. So Xi Jinping will host virtual summit of the leaders of the BRICS country. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will join Russian President Vladimir Putin as well as Brazil's Jair Bolsonaro and all those people, which will mark the first summit of the leaders following Russia's invasion. Okay. He will also host a BRICS business forum. Okay, so this is the point important on June 22 and a dialogue on global development on June 24. Okay. Fine, there is nothing more here. Let's see if any other news is there. UK declares Assange's extradition. Britain on Friday approved US government request to extradite WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange to face trial over the publication of secret military file, prompting outrage from his supporters. Okay, fine. So lack of breeze across Chaliar, his tribal students. See, people are going like this to school, so it's very heart wrenching, right? They should have at least a facility of bridge. And that too in Kerala, where they say it is God's own country and the most literate country, and people has to go to school in this fashion, right? So this is not good. Okay, you can use this case study if required. Let's see. Okay, we'll do the editorial and other such pages at last. So first, let's see the most important news. So what has been Indian stance? We have to see. Okay. Subsequently, the most Western nation, China, who are the member of FATF working group, cleared Pakistan's case at an emergency international meeting. Fine. As decision was led by consensus, India was not asked to vote on decision, but New Delhi has been spectacle of Pakistan's commitment to completely end terror safe haven, okay, in the country. Officials also pointed to Jammu and Kashmir, where they said infiltration continues and small arms and IEDs were being pushed across LOC. Agencies were preparing for an increased threat in the next few months. Pakistan continued to its relentless effort towards successful completion of these action plans, despite many challenges, including COVID-19 pandemic. Pakistan Foreign Minister said the official had told Hindu that Pakistan received support from permanent member of United Nations Security Council to get itself out of the grey list. Pakistan was brought back on grey list in 2018, which allowed the country to be monitored closely by FATF. Ministry said Pakistan has covered a lot of ground, okay, in anti-money laundering and combating finances of terrorism and proliferation domain during implementation of FATF action plan. The engagement with FATF has led to development of a strong AML or CFT framework in Pakistan, which resulted in improving our system. Okay, these things are there. So at last this happened. This was bound to happen. They cannot be in the grey list for perpetuity, right? But we have to understand this, that they are the actual perpetuator of violence and they should not do this. Okay, let's see. 54% of income of 8 parties went to BJP, said ADR. Okay, out of total about 1400 crores income, BJP had 725 crores, 752 crores. Okay, so what should be? Okay, national political parties. Okay, ADR analyzed an annual audited report submitted to election commission by these parties. These are data. Primary source. The primary source of income for BJP was voluntary contribution, while for Congress got most of its income from issuing coupons, and BSP from bank interest and reports. Said the BJP spent most of its total expenditure on election general propaganda, the Congress on election expenditure, and NCP spent 84% of its expenditure on administration and general expenses. Okay, so this is the thing. What you have to understand is that 54% of 8, there are 8 national parties. Okay, out of which total income, 54% of the income means, say, for those 8 parties. Okay, if total 100 rupees came, so 58 rupees go, 54 rupees went to BJP and remaining money was distributed among them. Okay, so this is the thing and this is not good. India backs China plan for joint border activity, Solidarity 2023, to have all SCO nations. Okay, India supported an initiative by China to conduct a joint border operation in 2023 of all member countries of SCO. That includes Russia, Pakistan and CARs, right, Central Asian Republics, and it will be named as Solidarity 2023. Okay, organized by China, a statement by BSF said. Fine, there has been some exchange of information. Give it a read, and you know that RATS is regarding this anti-terrorism. Okay, I'll give it a read for you. Okay, BSF hosted 21st meeting of experts group of and Border Security Conference of SCO countries from June 15-17 and was attended by China, Pakistan, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan and Pakistan it would be. Okay, and Executive Committee of RTS. Okay, so we have this, and a statement has been issued regarding this, right? The result of joint border operation Solidarity 2019 to 2021 carried out in 2021 by the border services of competent authorities of SCO member states were discussed and highly appreciated and planned for preparation to the further next. Okay, conduct the joint border operation Friendship Border 2022 this year and was reviewed and approved. So this year the name is Friendship Border. Last year it was named Solidarity. Next year it is Solidarity 2023, right? Okay. Let's see what the Army Chief has to say about Agnipath scheme. The decision will provide an opportunity for many of our young, energetic and patriotic youth who, despite the COVID pandemic, were preparing to join the recruitment rallies, which couldn't be completed in last 2 years due to COVID restrictions. Yes, this is true. Fine. So, look, there are things that I feel that opposition parties, especially some of the parties, try to misguide the students, right? They should not do this. At least tell them both the viewpoints, not only the negative about something or only the positive about something. The government keeps on saying only the positive and the opposition keeps on saying only the negative. And people today, not today, from the time I remember, right, after reading all those history and geography thing, from the time immemorial, people has always been divided, especially according to the viewpoints, right? So this is it. This is how the world goes. This is a dog eating dog world, right? Okay. Flood landslide kills 20 in Assam, Meghalaya. Assam and Meghalaya, that toll reaches 88. Okay, so let's see. Vital stretches of road, several bridges is washed away. And where this flood happened? In Assam and Meghalaya due to rain across northeastern state. Okay, so rain in Khasi Hill district. Okay, also in South Garo Hills. Okay. And rain continued to wreak havoc in Assam, affecting 11 lakh people across 22 districts. That's very bad. Okay, so you understand this. So rain has been there in these parts. Why? Because look, this is the sketch of northeastern state. If I draw it like this, okay, your northeastern state is this. This is Meghalaya. This is the boundary. Okay. Now here is your Garo, Khasi and Jantia hill. Garo, Khasi, Jantia. Some hills are here. Okay. So when rainfall comes, okay, it gets trapped in this entire thing. Okay, this entire geography, and hence sheds rain. And this rain, since what happens is in this area, in this region, what happens is the topography is like this. This is one of the mountain range, and then a very okay, this type of valley, and then another mountain range. Means mountain range is big and valley is small, but this is a very narrow strip. Okay, and due to this narrowness, the velocity increases. Okay, which causes havocs, especially during rainy season. Why during rainy season? Because volume of water is also large. Okay, rainy season, as volume of water is also large. You understand this now? Okay. Now let's see if anything else is remaining on this page. Yes, a lot of things are remaining on this page. Okay. ADP to be extended to block, district, block and city level, says Prime Minister. Aspirational district program. District should be inspirational district of India, and aspirational district program should be extended to block and city level. ADP launched in 2018 aim to transform 112 districts that have shown relatively less progress. Lauding the success of ADP, Prime Minister said that they should strive to make these the inspirational district. Okay, from aspiration to inspiration. Okay, this is a good keyword. Aspiration to inspiration. Fine. And the scheme should be extended to city and block level. Fine. This is what it is. Modi to launch maternal nutrition scheme in Gujarat. Okay. Under Mukhyamantri Matru Shakti Yojana. So this is the scheme for Gujarat. And those preparing for BPSC, just make a note of this, right? They can ask that Matru Shakti Yojana or Mukhyamantri Matru Shakti Yojana is related to which state. Okay. Fine. We had some news on this economy page as well, right? Okay. RBI not behind the curve, says Das. Let's see what he has to say. Premature focus on inflation target would have been disastrous for the economy. So our RBI governor says that if there would have been a premature focus on inflation target, it would have been disastrous for our economy. So Governor Sashikant Das on Friday refuted criticism of RBI being behind the curves in its policies, making it clear that consequence of focusing on 4% inflation target would have been disastrous for the pandemic hit economy. The comments that came 2 days after former Chief Economic Advisor Arvind Subramaniam co-authored an article blaming RBI for late action on inflation. Mr. Das said that central bank acted as per the evolving economic developments. Tolerance of a high inflation during pandemic was a necessity, Mr. Das said, speaking at event of organized by Financial Express. He said RBI switched into ultra accommodation as soon as the country went into lockdown and shifted focus on inflation 2 years later in April 22, when it saw GDP has exceeded the pre-pandemic level. Despite its accommodative policy, the economy contracted by 6.6% and recovered to barely above the pre-pandemic level in year 2022, he said, stressing that a shift in policy management to focus on inflation every 3-4 months before April would not have been apt. We are very much in line with the requirements of our time. RBI has acted proactively, and I would not agree with any perception or any sort of description that RBI has fallen behind the curve. He said that RBI mandate is that of flexible inflation targeting, where it is required to take care of both price rise and growth, especially in extraordinary situation. If we had been very firm in maintaining 4% inflation and keep the rate unduly high, I am sorry, the consequences that approach would have been disastrous for the economy. If we had attempted to keep monetary policy tighter at that time, the economic damage that you would have caused would have taken years for India to recover, as he observed. So why does he say this? Let's analyze. So the thing is, demand was low and inflation, if kept low, that would mean what? Demand would not have picked up. This would lead to suffering of economy. Okay, this is the point. Economy. What that he is pointing, that if inflation would have been initially controlled. Okay, so he says that this should have happened, and others are saying that RBI has missed the golden opportunity. Okay, so these two viewpoints are there. I don't see these two viewpoints to be very contradicting to each other. Yes, prima facie it is contradicting, but yes, they both are true in certain sense. RBI could have taken it, but we don't know what would have happened. So keeping those things in mind, it's good. And as it is said in Hindi, there is a kahawat, and it goes like this: "There I durust hai," and the same thing is going on here, right? Government keen to keep capex growth supportive, says Chief Economic Advisor, right? Focus is on preserving momentum. Okay, government is committed to ensure that capital expenditure will continue to support the economic growth and momentum regained after the third COVID-19 wave. Chief Economic Advisor V. Anant Nageswaran said on Friday. Fair enough. Given the outgoing sense of uncertainty among the private sector participant in both banking and non-banking world, the government is committed to make sure that capital expenditure continues in such a way that growth impulse that we have regained after the third wave is not surrendered. For the current financial year, if the government is able to execute capital expenditure of 7.5 lakh crores, that is the biggest real economic intervention. We are becoming inflation intolerant, and that is important to stabilize the inflation expectations. Okay, the simple here said, look why this is there. Capital growth, capex growth supportive. 2-3 things are there since Fed issue. Okay, so Federal Bank has raised policy rates. Okay, this would lead to increased flight of capital from India. Okay, this is one of the point. And what is the second point? The second point is that we have promised of a capex expenditure, and this expenditure government gets from some of the markets, means from bank, from anywhere else. So flight of capital will affect this also. But the Chief Economic Advisor says that no, government will be spending these things no matter what. We are looking forward for new measures. Okay, big tech financial services play may add systemic risk. Okay, Das flags lender increase resilience on fintech platform. The increasing role that large technology companies are playing in provision of financial services has potential to accentuate systemic risks such as over leverage. Okay, so this is a risk. RBI governor said companies, whether from e-commerce, social media and search engine platform, ride-hailing and similar businesses, have started to offer financial services in a big way on their own or on behalf of others. He noted These companies have an enormous amount of customer data which has helped them to offer tailored financial services to entity and individuals lacking credit history or collateral, he said in a speech. Okay, observing that banks and other lenders sometimes utilize the platform provided by fintech companies in their internal processes from credit risk assessment, Mr. Das said such large scale use of new methodology in credit risk assessment can create systemic concern like over leverage inadequate credit assessment. Okay. Big Tech also posed concern relating to competition, data protection, data sharing, and operational resilience of critical services in situations where bank NFC utilize the services here. Regulators have strike a fine balance between enabling environment and preventing system. Okay, this is fine. This is nothing here. Okay, so EV to match petrol vehicle price in a year. So what is this? The price of EVs will be equal to cost of petrol vehicle in the country in 1 year. Mr. Gadkari has said this. He further said that government is promoting ethanol product produced from crop residue instead of petrol and diesel. I am trying within 1 year the cost of electric vehicle will be equivalent to cost of petrol vehicle and will save money on fossil fuels. He said that the government was already promoting green fuels in a big way. Mr. Gadkari noted that waterway are cheaper mode of transportation than roadway and it is going to come up in a big way. You know what is a graph of waterway, road and landways? Let me make it for you here. It is a small graph. It may come in handy during examination, right? So it goes like this. Let me take this color. This is waterway, railway, roadway, okay, and this is price, relative price you say, okay, relative price. So if waterway is here, railway is here and roadways are here, okay, this is your price structure, right? Like this. You understand now? This is a curve, okay, and let's see, I can find a good color for this. Okay, let's go with this one. And the utility is, okay, utility is how? Waterways minimum, railways and roadways like this. You understand? So actual should be what? It should be like this, actual, and this is real, and this is cost. Okay, in reality what should be there? That waterway should be highest used and roadways should be lower used, but what is happening instead? Roadways are highly used and it is highly costly, still it is highly used, right? RBI unveils document focusing on e-payment, aims to impart safe affordable options. RBI has come with Payment Vision 2025 with the core team of e-payment for everyone, everywhere and every time. E-payments for everyone, everywhere and every time, with objective to provide every user with safe, secure, fast, convenient, accessible and affordable e-payment option. It promises to further elevate India's payment system towards a realm of empowering users with affordable payment option accessible anytime, anywhere with the convenience. Fine. Considering the current geopolitical developments across the world, the document also seeks to address the potential risk arising out of many adverse situations that may arise. The banking regulator said, fine. Considering current geopolitical developments across the world, document also seeks to address the potential risk arising out of any adverse situation that may arise in banking sector. Fine. So there is a issue going on, Russia-Ukraine crisis, now world food crisis, okay, African crisis, African and West Asian crisis. These things are going mainly, right? And due to this, payment system may be affected. Okay, so these things are there. The change or shift in customer behavior towards embracing a digital and touchless modes of payment. There is a spike of 50% in mobile banking users, indicating inclusion of first-time users into digital. For the challenge to make this an irreversible shift. So what is the challenge? Once who come into the fold of digital payment should not leave it, right? Okay, I think we have covered most of the important news. Let's see if anything else is remaining. Okay, and we are on this post. Fine. So with this we have ended, or we have completed the analysis of the news. Now let's move directly to analysis of the editorial, right? Okay, Agnipath, a fire that could singe India. So who is Mr. Singh? First let's see his credentials. Senior fellow at Center for Policy Research. Okay, he's a senior fellow. Let's see. It was September 15, 2013 that Narendra Modi government addressed an ex-serviceman rally at Rewari, Haryana. As Bharatiya Janata Party's prime ministerial candidate, where he vociferously supported the demand for OROP for all soldiers. Mr. Modi was then campaigning in poetry, and 9 years later, in Agnipath's scheme for recruitment of short-term contracted soldiers was announced, he had been forced to contend with the reality of governing in prose. However hard the government may try to obfuscate the driving factor for the U-turn from OROP to no rank, no pension is economics. Okay. So the driving factor is economics. Fine. Financial motivations. OROP demand became tricky to fulfill once Mr. Modi became the Prime Minister, but it was officially instituted in November 15 for more than 25 lakh defense pensioners. It came with an immediate annual financial implication of 7,100, more than 7,100 crores, and the actual area from July 1, 2024 to December 31st, 2015 was 10,400 crore. The financial burden increased immediately over time and has substantially increased the budgetary expenditure on defense pensions. In the current financial year, about 1.2 lakh crores has been budgeted for pensioners, along with another 1.63 lakh crores for salary. That is 54% of allocation for Defense Ministry. It has been argued that saving in pension bill, which will show up only on books after a couple of decades, would be directed towards modernization of defense force. The armed force do not have that kind of time available to them to postpone their already long delayed modernization. Okay. So what does the economics says? The economics says that whatever will be the saving that would be visible only after 2 or 4 decades, that could be used for what? For modernization of the armed forces, because it has already been delayed. The money must come now. The Indian Air Force is already down to 30 squadron of fighter jets against 42. Okay, 30 versus 42. It needs, and the Navy is at 130 ships when its vision was to be a 200 ship Navy. The Indian Army is already short of 1 lakh soldiers. The announcement of Agniveer scheme is an implicit acknowledgement that Indian economy is capable of supporting the armed forces that India needs. It faces an active military threat from 2 adversaries, China and Pakistan. The internal security challenges in Kashmir and northeastern side. These realities cannot be wished away. Okay, so what are the realities? So why this announcement? Because it is implicit acknowledgement of that India economy is incapable of supporting the armed forces that India needs. Okay, so the present economy is incapable, he says that. Okay, maybe true to some extent. Active military threat from 2 adversaries, China and Pakistan, and internal security challenges to Kashmir and northeastern state. The realities cannot be wished away. Instead of expanding the economy to support the military, the government has resorted to shrinking the military. So what are the damaging consequences of Agnipath scheme? As the short-term recruitment policy has neither been theoretically modeled nor tried out as pilot project, the exact consequences of the move will only be known as they play out. But its adverse effect on professional capabilities of armed forces is certain. Okay, so adverse effect on professional capabilities is certain. It starts with a very high turnover of young soldiers, the increase in training capacity and infrastructure, and the augmentation of administrative setup for greater recruitment, release and retention of soldiers, and armed force boasting of poor teeth to tail ratio is further increasing the tail. In Indian Air Force and Navy employ their airmen and sailors in very specialized role, which require technical skill and a high degree of training and experience. They form the backbone of the system that keep the warship at sea, the fighter jets in air, and high-tech weapons and platform operational. Because the short-term contractual soldier model is going to take few years to fully play out at organizational level, the actual degradation of operational capability will be known only after them. So this is the first point here it is. So it is going to take a few years to fully play out at organizational level. The actual degradation of operational capability will be only known by then. In case of army, the challenge is twofold. Indian army has emerged from legacy with traces of 1748. In early years, Sepoy, says a paper by Sayyid Hussain Sohrawardi, the emphasis was on discipline and efficiency and the separation from fragmented Indian society. This turned the Indian soldiers into a professional, united and autonomous fighting force whose loyalty in defense frozen world was to their homogeneous military units, for which they served full-time long-term, rewarded with a secure pay and pension system. Okay. As the homogeneous nature of the Bengal army was seen as one of the factors that contributed to outbreak of 1857 mutiny, the British now thereafter maintained distinction and separation, and all those things are described in the paper. Even after independence, the class-based recruitment, the euphemism for caste, and has defined the nature and the character of Indian army, shaping its ethos and fighting capability. In an affidavit in the court a couple of years ago, the government asserted that army has performed exceedingly well while maintaining the class composition in recruitment of presidential bodyguard, and changing to all India class composition will not only affect the functioning of PBG, president bodyguard, presidential, but also affect the seniority structure of the regiment. It defeated the class-based unit by claiming that after selection, personnel are group based on functional requirement and have optimum operational effectiveness. In the scheme proposed, the class-based recruitment has been replaced with all India class recruitment. Okay, so whatever center said in the presidential bodyguard part, in the presidential bodyguard recruitment case, in this scheme it is going exactly opposite to this. Okay, from class based to all India, all class recruitment. The reason for this drastic shift are the secret, but it will strike at the core of the organizational management, leadership, structure and ongoing philosophy of Indian Army. Even though the soldiers in Indian Army are professionally trained, they also draw their motivation from social identity, reflected in the characterization of Naam, Namak and Nishan, where each soldier carries for his reputation among the peers of his caste, group or village or social setting. To replace that with pure professional identity of a soldier will bring down the challenges of traditional bound army, where units showcase the campaign in 18th century as a battle honors. Running a Gorkha regiment with a Jat soldier from Haryana and Malayali from Kerala and a Meeti from Manipur needs massive restructuring, something army currently seems unprepared. So this is second. Okay, so the problem of ethnicity, city problem. Okay, it is driven more by a hope that as an adaptive institution with great resilience, army will somehow find a way to deal with this. There are other challenges thrown up by the model. There will be major problem in training, intelligence and deploying soldiers with different level of experience and motivation. The criterion of identifying 25% short-term contract soldier to be retained could result in unhealthy competition. An organization which depends on trust, camaraderie, camaraderie and spirit de corps could end up grappling with rivalries and jealousies among winners and losers, especially in their final year of contract. Even though government has kept contract at 4 years to deny the Agniveer gratuity and is not counting at contractual period towards regular service, these provisions are bound to be challenged legally, just like OROP could, which could become a politically attractive demand for longer tenures and pensions to be picked up by the opposition parties, right? Over the time, this will lead to salary and pension budget creeping back again. Political and social implication: the Agnipath scheme also does away with the idea of statewide quota for recruitment of army based on recruitable male population of the state that was implemented in 1966. Third point: this prevented an imbalanced army which was dominated by any one state linguistic community ethnicity, as it happened in case of Pakistan with its province of Punjab. Academic research shows that the high level of ethnic imbalance has been associated with several problems of democracy and an increased likelihood of civil war and worrying scenario for today's India, where federalism is being severely tested. Coupled with this is the lack of hope that Indian economy, where over 45 crores Indians have stopped looking for jobs. There are high level of unemployment and underemployment. It is to the mix that these few thousands young men who have been trained in fighting organizational violence would be thrown up every year. From erstwhile Yugoslavia to Rwanda and closer home during partition, there are numerous examples of demolished soldiers leading to an increased violence against minorities. Today, India is characterized by weak state capacity, where states have ceded to executive right and violence as majoritarian group. This provides a healthy cocktail and all those things are there. Indian Army has so far provided salary, inform and prestige and inheritance of the British who took care of living condition, facilities and soldiers' family and post-retirement benefits and rewards. This meant that military service remained attractive to many generations of same family, anchoring them into the tradition. It also resulted in social standing and privilege, where pensions resulted in comfortable life for a retired soldier. And the short-term contractual soldier without earning pension will be seen as doing a job after military service that are not seen to be commensurate in the status and prestige with profession of honor. It will reduce the motivation of those joining short-term contract while diminishing the honor of profession, which places extraordinary demand on young men. The government, yearning for financial saving, runs the risk of reducing honor of a profession. Okay, reducing honor is the fourth point. And stability of society and the safety of country. Okay, so this is what Mr. Singh has to say. A good article at the preliminary level to understand things in his perspective. Okay, we have to see how government responds to it so that we create a bigger picture for this Agnipath scheme, right? A man's parliament striving for an inclusive India. Despite encouraging a start in 1950s, its discourse, communication and laws are now a concern. Okay, so why has this come up? Okay. In 52, when Indian Republic held its first parliament session, 1939, a strong, intelligent, passionate women leader sat, challenging a century-old tide of men's dominance over polity. A slide from initial year. At a time when women formed only 1.7% of total members of United States Congress and 1.1% of United Kingdom, India was leading with 5.5%. The struggle for Indian independence can never be detached from the contribution of thousands of our women across profession, class, caste and religion. A testament to those invaluable contributions has to be their louder voice in parliamentary democracy. Okay. What happened in 1952 was highly progressive state, but 70 years hence, it seems we have strayed from the path. Despite a women prime minister, president, and a relatively higher percentage of women parliamentarians when compared to some of the other mature democracies in past, our struggle with inclusivity had not eased. Due to systemic issues, Parliament continues to alienate women. The number of women representatives is still considerably small, but even more subtly, Parliament as a work space continues to build exclusively for men. India has witnessed a burgeoning movement for gender inclusivity during the past few years. The Supreme Court judgment Nalsa versus Union of India 2014 on gender identity has given momentum to greater impetus. In solidarity, citizens have begun asserting their gender identity by specifying their personal pronouns she, her, he, his, they, etc. Parliament, being the pinnacle of lawmaking and symbolic center of Indian democracy, democratic aspirant, must respect this change too. However, the matter seems to have largely escaped. Not gender neutral. A closer look at our parliamentary discourse and communication reveals a concerning and disconcerting absence of gender neutral language. For instance, after 75 years of independence and Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, Parliament often refers to women in leadership and positions as chairman and party men. Okay. In Rajya Sabha, the rules of procedure continues to refer to the Vice President of India as ex officio chairman, stemming from the lack of gender neutral language of Constitution of India. Additional, so it could be not only chairman, it could be chairwoman. So better it should be chairperson. Okay. Additionally, references to the inherently masculine pronouns that make over 150 times in former and 600 times in latter. The alarming degree of usage of masculine pronouncement assumes a power structure bias towards men. This tends to manifest itself in parliamentary debates. For instance, when a senior woman MP from Tamil Nadu was referred to as chair, madam, in Lok Sabha during last year winter session. The issue further extends to lawmaking. In last decade, there has hardly been any gender neutral acts. Acts have made references to women not as leaders or professionals, such as policemen, but usually victims of crime. The root of such instances lies with the general confronting constitution. In its present state, the constitution reinforces historical stereotypes that women and transgender people cannot be in leadership positions such as President, Vice President of India, Speaker and Lok Sabha, the Governor of State or Judge. It is not a criticism of Constitution but of the failure of many union governments which did not take the initiative of this amendment. In the past, amendments have been brought about to make document gender neutral. In 2014, under leadership of the Speaker of Lok Sabha, Meera Kumar, the rules and procedure of Lok Sabha were made entirely gender neutral. Since then, each Lok Sabha committee head has been referred to a chairperson in all documents. The initiative is a proof that amending legal document to make them inclusive for all gender is attainable goal if there is a will. Despite certain course correction, both House of Parliament and Central Ministries have failed in one common aspect, in compilation of ministerial replies to the questions from 17th Lok Sabha, and so far for 75 women parliamentarians, it was only found that 84% of the answer that use salutations referred women parliamentarians as sir. What is this? During 15th Lok Sabha, when we had a woman speaker, only 27% of answer made this error. However, there is no identification of clear reason for such lapses, either due to pure administrative errors or due to ignorance of the rules of address. International examples. Internationally, even mature democracies that legalize universal suffrage after India, such as Canada, Australia, United States, have now taken concrete measures towards gender inclusive legislation and communication. Canada's Department of Justice has guidelines for using gender neutral language in all the forms of legislation and legal document. The Australian government has incorporated gender neutrality in drafting the style manual. In its drafting style manual, the UK House has also done some gender neutral things, right? When Parliament and government officers reinforce their gender biasness in their communication, stereotypical language and in reference to women and transgender people become more palatable and to the rest of the country leader must send the right message to citizens to follow. They can and must begin with an amendment to Constitution and entire reserves of law. Moving ahead, once the language is corrected, the entire country, including Parliament, can focus on deeper issues of aspirations and growth of its women workforce. In 18, UK Parliament conducted a gender audit to understand its culture, environment and policies as a workspace. If the report is any indication as to what might also be the scenario in Indian Parliament, with an even lesser number of women employed, it opens question about whether there is a single transparent appointment and promotion process for women staff in parliament, and whether their professional growth is being hindered by other issues such as harassment and domestic responsibilities. In 21st century, when people of all grades are leading the world with compassion, strength and ambition, the Indian parliament need to reflect on its standings. Okay, recognition and correction of past errors through amendments to rule book laws and to constitutions are just starting point and must lead to sensitivity, equal treatment and appreciation. Okay, three things. Section for people of India regardless of gender. So this is the thing. Okay, very good article. It actually strikes the core of a thing that yes, before talking about inclusivity and women empowerment, you must first accept women into the society. Okay, so it is basically, in my view, acceptance of women and transgenders, especially for leadership roles. Fine. Now let's see if anything else is remaining. Okay, so with this we come to end of today's newspaper analysis. I hope you like it. So before going, I would like to urge you to subscribe the channel, like the content, comment. You can have to comment one thing, that is for sure, that is answer to the question, and second, your suggestions, and share the work. Okay, you are all our flag bearers, our viewers are the flag bearers, and we would like to reach more of such flag bearers, and you all could help us in that. So with that thing in mind, I end today's analysis of this news. So thank you very much. Have a good day, study hard, and Jai Hind. So friends, I really hope that you like this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe our channel and share this video with your friend. Follow us on Telegram as well. Also, keep studying hard, keep following your dreams, and keep tuned to our channel. Comment below for any suggestion. Till then, goodbye, good luck, keep studying hard.